You can support In the Past Lane by buying some of our merchandise, like shirts, hoodies, mugs, and stickers. Just go to our website, inthepastlane.com. Thanks.
Whoa, hit the brakes. You've arrived at the #1 drive-by for American history. Welcome to The Pit Stop. Brought to you by In the Past Lane, the podcast about history and why it matters. Here's Edward T. O'Donnell, your host and historian at large.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Pit Stop, your Monday morning source for history on the go in just about 5 minutes. We offer this mini feature every Monday, in addition to our full feature episodes. Like my upcoming episode where I interview historian Martha S. Jones about her book, Birthright Citizens, A History of Race and Rights in Antebellum America. Here's what happened in American history the week of May 6, 2019. Let's start with birthdays. May 8, 1800, that's the birthday of abolitionist John Brown, who was born in Torrington, Connecticut. Brown is one of the most interesting figures in American history. A deeply religious man, he became convinced that slavery was a great evil and that he needed to bring about its abolition. In the late 1850s, Brown began plotting a raid into the South that he believed would trigger a massive slave insurrection that would end slavery once and for all. This raid on Harper's Ferry, Virginia, took place in October 1859. It was quickly put down by U.S. troops and Virginia militia, and Brown was executed, but not before making this stark prediction. I, John Brown, am now quite certain that the crimes of this guilty land will never be purged away, but with blood. May 8th is also the birthday of the radical Jesuit priest Daniel Berrigan, who was born in New York City, May 8th, 1921. Berrigan, along with his brother Philip, was best known for his activism protesting the Vietnam War. The Berrigans believed that Christianity was fundamentally about justice, and that it demanded action on the part of its adherents to take on racism, war, and poverty. Daniel Berrigan once said, "Your faith is rarely where your head is at, and rarely where your heart is. Your faith is where your ass is." On May 8, 1884, the 33rd President of the United States, Harry S. Truman, was born in Lamar, Missouri. Truman once said, "My choice early in life was either to be a piano player in a whorehouse or a politician. And to tell the truth, there's hardly any difference." May 10, 1837, P.B.S. Pinchback was born in Macon, Georgia. Pinchback was born a free black man in 1837. He later served in the Union Army during the Civil War and then entered politics during Reconstruction. In 1871, he was elected Lieutenant Governor of Louisiana. He later served briefly as governor, making him the first African American to serve as a governor of a U.S. state. Not surprisingly, Pinchback faced a lot of racism and hostility. He once wrote to a friend, "I am groping through this American forest of prejudice and proscription, determined to find some form of civilization where all men will be accepted for what they are worth." Okay, what about events? May 7th, 1915, the British ocean liner RMS Lusitania was torpedoed by a German U-boat off the coast of Ireland, killing 1,198 people, including 128 Americans. The incident stoked pro-war sentiment in the United States, but President Woodrow Wilson insisted the U.S. must remain neutral. And if you're looking for a terrific read on this topic, I highly recommend Eric Larson's book, Dead Wake, The Last Crossing of the Lusitania. May 10th, 1869, the Transcontinental Railroad was completed, making it possible to travel across the country by rail. At a special ceremony near Promontory Point in Utah, railroad executive Leland Stanford swung a hammer and drove a golden spike into the last rail. The news triggered huge celebrations across the country. And speaking of railroads, May 11th, 1894, that's when one of the greatest labor protests in American history began. The strike, by workers affiliated with the American Railway Union against the Pullman Car Company, shut down large portions of the nation's railway network from mid-May to mid-July. But eventually, federal court injunctions, backed by federal troops, crushed the strike. Its leader, Eugene Debs, emerged as a national figure in the fight for workers' rights and the promotion of socialism for decades to come. May 13, 1846, marks the anniversary of the day the United States declared war on Mexico. The U.S. victory in the ensuing Mexican-American War allowed the United States to seize the northern half of Mexico, a giant swath of territory that included the future states of California, Arizona, New Mexico, and portions of Nevada, Utah, Texas, and Colorado. Okay, time for the last word. Let's give it to President Harry S. Truman, who was born 135 years ago this week. Truman was famous for his combative style of politics. His supporters shouted, "Give him hell, Harry!" Here's a good example of Truman, a Democrat, giving the Republican Party a little hell. Republicans approve of the American farmer, but they are willing to let him go broke. They stand foursquare for the American home, but not for housing. They are strong for labor, but they are stronger for restricting labor's rights. They favor minimum wage. The smaller the minimum wage, the better. They endorse educational opportunity for all, but they won't spend money for teachers or for schools. They think modern medical care and hospitals are fine for people who can afford them. They consider electrical power a great blessing, but only when the private power companies get their rake off. They think the American standard of living is a fine thing, so long as it doesn't spread to all the people. And they admire the government of the United States so much that they would like to buy it. Okay, people, that's your history fix for the week. Now put it in drive and go make your own history.